have to get there. I cannot afford to fail.
There's days that I feel like imposter syndrome, you know, what am I doing here, or, you know, should I even be here?
It is hard to believe where you've come from. It's kind of like, Jesus, is this really me?
Every year, thousands of students in Ireland begin a life-changing adventure through higher education. But for people with a disability or those from disadvantaged backgrounds, dreams of college have often been just that, a dream. But thanks to the success of access and disability programs, a more diverse range of students are getting the supports and encouragement they need to reach their full potential. In this series, we follow 7 university students, each with a set of challenging personal circumstances as they negotiate an unprecedented academic year. Stressful, emotional, and uplifting. From this unique class of 2020, these are the stories of their uni life. Adam Freegrove is in his final year of medicine at University College Dublin.
As far as I remember, I've pretty much always wanted to go to college. So I was in primary school, I had just wildly different aspirations. I wanted to be an astronaut for a while.
Chrisdina O'Neill is studying for her professional Masters of Education in University College Cork.
I was 16 and a teacher did peer teaching and I got to teach the class. And I was up there and I got to look out at my peers and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Cathal Blake is studying a PhD in psychology at Dublin City University.
4 years ago, I couldn't turn on a laptop. No, I'm not joking when I say that. I couldn't switch on. If you put a laptop in front of me, I'd run. I'll hang that door for you, but I won't switch on a laptop.
Since I was born, and I lived here with my mum, my nan, my granddad. My mum had me when she was 20, and that in and of itself is quite difficult, but she still worked all the time, tried her best to kind of provide for me and look after me as best she could. Back in 2003 then when my mum got sick. I was 8, it was my 8th birthday party. She had a massive stroke. She got lots of brain surgery and it's left her permanently disabled. It's left her very badly disabled that, we need to look after her now. Now that year's back. Kind of from when I was 8 years old then, I was raised by my grandparents.
Adam was amazing, full of character and very kind, very placid, easy to go with, bring anywhere, and thoroughly enjoyed the company. So we actually did have a nice bond growing up. When Adam was a child, I could never take a lift when I went anywhere with him. You know what people say to children, don't take lifts off strangers. Well, he wouldn't get into a car with me. No.
Because they were strangers?
I had to get public transport.
My granddad for me was like my father figure for pretty much all my life. His name was Patrick, or really everyone called him Wally. So that, I don't even think half the people he knew his real name.
His grandfather idolised him after making the communion confirmation, and then you just see him growing up into a man then, and as they start learning how to drive and they go together, he showed him how to do things and have conversations with him all the time. It's lovely to see the relationship growing, and it grew right through till the end,
When I was doing my Leaving Cert, my grandfather was diagnosed with lung cancer. And at one stage, he became very, very ill in a very short amount of time. He was in the sitting room and felt like he was near death just overnight, and we had no idea what was going on. Even trying to get him to drink some water or something like that just wasn't happening. And that was the day I came out here onto these stairs, and I just sat here and I cried because I was terrified he was going to die and I couldn't do anything. And that was the day then I kind of decided I'd end up doing something and never, ever have anyone who needed help like that just not be able to be helped. And I mean, that was the day I decided I'd become a doctor and do what I could to help people, because I never wanted to be that helpless in that situation again, where like my own father basically was sitting in front of me dying, and the most I could do was ask him to drink a drink. Like,
it was really a real difficult time. But you know yourself, it's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with what happens to you. As far as I'm concerned, Adam loved academic work and he knew what he wanted to do. I think seeing his granddad and all that, he thought, you know, the only way to do this is to actually put your mind down to it, and he had a very strong mind.
Chrisdina O'Neill is studying a professional Master of Education in University College Cork through the UCC Plus programme, which works with schools from disadvantaged areas across Cork, Kerry and Waterford.
Family did not want me to go to college. They were like, you're not going. That was a big toll on me. For them, it was all the posh people that went to college. Like, they knew no one at all had ever gone to college in my family. Coming from the travelling background, it was like, that's not the normal thing for you to do, Christina. Why are you doing it? Like, that's what I got from family and friends even who wouldn't be from the travelling background couldn't understand why I wanted to go into university. Because even though they knew me for years, they had this idea that I would go on and get married and have kids at 18, 19. That was their idea of it, which really hurt me at the time, because I was like, do you not see more to me than that? Fighting with my parents the whole time through it all was horrific, and it took a toll mentally and emotionally on me, trying to do what I love and getting pushed back. It was hard to understand. I think for them it was the unknown. Knowing that their daughter was going into the unknown was a big thing.
1/4 of UCC's student population has come through an access programme.
I was in a very disadvantaged school, and they came out and they offered supports. They brought me up to UCC for like a day out with my mum, and we got to go around. We had lunch with the access officer, Olive Byrne. She explained the campus, explained everything really, and broke it all down for us, which was absolutely brilliant.
How things? Been busy? It's not untypical for many young people who come to us through the HERE scheme. They've this fear that they won't be good enough, that they won't fit in, just a lack of confidence in their own ability. And so it's lovely to work with students through their first, sometimes couple of years in UCC, just reassuring them along the way, helping them to build that confidence in their own ability, and to see them grow and develop as they progress through their studies. And that certainly happened with Christina. You know, month by month, there was different fears and different anxieties around whether she was good enough, whether she'd be able for the university course. She'd set herself different goals, and it was get to the end of the week, get to the end of the month, get to Christmas. And really, when she came back in January, she was overwhelmed with her first semester results, but still kept saying, maybe I'll get to the end of first year, and had those doubts the whole way through, really.
I haven't lost my roots. I'm still very much a proud traveller woman. I just wanted to do what I love to do, which is to teach, to help people.
I left school in 1990 with a pretty decent leaving cert, but just wanted to work. I was in construction till 4 years ago. We were working on a site in Portlaoise when the recession really hit, and we just went down one Monday morning and the gates were closed, and just didn't know what to do, and stayed around for a couple of hours, couldn't get through and to anybody on phone calls or anything, and then just come home, and that was it. You were out of work. Maybe that bit of free time I had then, those few months, to think about what I'd like to do, put me in mind of maybe going back to education.
But you're just hoping to do?
We 7 lived together 7 years, 3 months and 13 days exactly. We like the simple things in life, you know. GAA would be massive. For my sins, I'd be a Mead supporter. We haven't been in Croke Park too often lately. Linda is from Dublin. So, needless to say, for the last 6 years, I've had to suffer Linda roaring and shouting every third Sunday in September. And she actually has a signed jersey now, a Dublin jersey. It's just in my face all the time. Linda played a big part in helping me to decide whether to go back or not, because like when you're toying with those ideas and you have to weigh up the whole financial thing, and you're going to be taking a hit financially, and am I doing the right thing? You know, I'm 42 years of age, am I mad? So Linda was there for me every step of the way.
I was with him the day he went in to the local college, and he came out all happy with himself that he was after registering. And then he came home the following day with his first assignments going, geez, baby, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I don't even have a laptop. So it was great to see the progression of him then. And then going and wanting to do more, and had such a belief that he could do it. And I encouraged him all the way.
I always had an interest in psychology, so I filled in the CAO for psychology in Trinity, Maynooth, UCD and DCU. Got offered places in them all and chose to go to DCU. I walked in here, got out of the car, I'm probably thinking, what the hell am I doing? Surrounded by 17,000 screaming teenagers. You know? I've never looked back since.
I'm not sure if there's other members of the travelling community in UCC, because I know when I started, I didn't acknowledge who I was, like I wouldn't tell my friends. When I was in second year, I spoke in City Hall on education in the travelling community. I just thought, this is going to be great. My little cousins that are coming up, do you know, my two sisters, they're going to see this, and this would be great to get them continuing in education.
She was just inspirational. The Lord Mayor at the time commended her and said it was one of the most powerful speeches that he'd ever heard in the council chamber, and he invited her into his office to sign the visitors book, and he also presented her with the Cork City pin.
It kind of blew up. It went on newspapers, everything, and I remember that anxiety of going into college, knowing my friends had seen this on newspapers. I got no negative reaction. They actually said, oh, that's great, I'm really proud of you. I just received so much negativity in the past that when they accepted me like that, I was like, do you know, I've found my place, and I found myself in college. Sorry.
Universal access to education is hugely important. It's how I got into university. I came in through the HERE programme. A lot of my good friends would have come through these schemes, through DARE, through HERE. Without that, a lot of people I know wouldn't have been able to do what they actually want to do.
With exams behind him and results in the post, Adam and his friends are discussing life after university.
It's kind of going from walking around on wards, like in the back of the team being like head down, avoiding questions, to being the person walking around with the charts being like, I saw these patients this morning, here's what's going on. And that's going to be a change of pace at the very least.
And have other medical students come up to you asking you questions. It'd be nice being on the wards.
As much as the face of university is changing, the face of medicine hasn't. It's still largely a degree for the upper classes, the upper middle classes, we'll say. You know, it costs so much money just to do it. Realistically, the only reason I can even afford to come to college is because of my grant and of other bursaries and scholarships I've gotten over the years.
The biggest challenge was, for me as a mature student, was wondering would I fit in, because my perception of college was the college was filled with school leavers. So I had the perception maybe that I was going to be the oldest swinger in town, and it wasn't like that at all. I wasn't even the oldest mature student, as it turned out.
Hi, Cathal. Well, how are you, Orla? How's things?
DCU's Orla Stafford has been Cathal's access officer since he arrived in the university.
Mature students are coming with a wealth of knowledge. They're coming with a wealth of experience of life. Mature students will be managing a student life, but also they're managing a family life. They'll also be working. And what they bring in, the perspective they bring into to class discussions, to the presentations, you couldn't buy that. It would take years to try and get students to understand how to work at different dynamics and groups. But when you introduce different cultures, when you introduce different age groups, different sexes, it adds such a richness.
So the way attention works is you guys now are focused, hopefully, on me. As part of the PhD, you're encouraged to take practicals and tutorials, so you're encouraged to teach the incoming students then. I'm just after finishing with a class of about 20. I try and break it into layman's terms for them, because it can be so academic, And I think they responded really, really well to that. And I tried to get the class, you know, participating and asking questions and to and fro, and rather than just standing up and reading a load of slides.
Cal came into DCU looking for a completely different career, being able to adapt to the changing work market and also to be able to bring in something that is a passion. He has determination, he has resilience, and he also has the ability to speak out when things aren't going as he thinks they should.
If you had to tell me 4 years ago how far I've come in such a short space of time, to finish with the results I finished with and then to be offered the PhD, it is hard to believe sometimes where you've come from. It's kind of like, Jesus, is this really me, or am I dreaming, or what's happening, you know? My final year project, which was on young onset dementia, I am going to The Hague in the Netherlands in the 23rd to the 25th of October this year to present at that. So me, the builder, is going to stand in front of doctors and professors who have worked in this area for years and tell them what I found with my study.
Back at UCD, Adam is meeting Kathleen Kiley, Adam's student advisor who deals directly with the welfare of the university's medical students.
So Adam, how are you getting on this year? How are you finding this?
It's been better than last year, but I think anything would have been better than last year. Last year was considered by anyone who's done medicine UCD as our hardest year. Like, we called it Res Year, and it's known as that because you're nearly resident in the hospital, you're there so much. There was never a sense of, I'm happy and this is what I'm doing and I'm loving it. It was always a sense of, this is what I have to do. And I didn't realise for a while that I was struggling with that. I came to you with, my mum.
Adam has had a lot of stuff going on in his personal life, and the student advisors in UCD, we're here really for the students to come in and to explore what's going on and give them the time to understand or maybe not understand some of what's happening for them. We also help them understand that, college is one thing, personal life is another thing, but they are intertwined. I think for a lot of the medical students, because the course is quite long, it's 5 years long, you have to stay on top of it. I have had students literally walk in the door and burst into tears and just gone, oh, I just really need just to do that.
I walked out here in May, the last exam in the Helix, and then you have a lag of a couple of weeks till they're corrected and the whole lot, and the results come out on the 19th or the 18th of June. The results come out for the whole university. So you log on to the online system and you get given your results. So that was a massive high that day to read those 3 words, first class honours, to finish with that. And exactly 1 month later, so on the 19th of July, Linda collapsed.
Yes, I collapsed on the kitchen floor. I suffered a brain hemorrhage. Only that my 13-year-old son at the time heard me getting sick. He came running down. He called his brother. His brother came down. One of them called Cathal, and the other was onto the ambulance. Cathal came down, who took over with CPR, and they kept me alive until the ambulances came.
When she was put into the back of the ambulance, and she must have had a bit of a turn, and they were working on her again, and the lead paramedic picked up the phone to ring Delures to say they're on the way. And she just said, we have a 47-year-old female, she's aspirated and intubated, GCS 3, we'll be with you in 10 minutes. So the GCS scale, the Glasgow Coma Scale, is used to assess people's levels of consciousness. So at the moment I'm at a 15, or should be at a 15, and 3 is the worst you can go. So it's like deep coma, stroke, clinically dead. And I would know the significance of the GCS scale purely from the course I'm doing, studying psychology. So if this had happened 4 years ago, she could have been ordering a pizza for all I know, you know what I mean?
I want big walkies. Big walkies this morning.
Yeah, Cathal been there for me through all my recovery. He's brought me to all my appointments, made sure I had my medication all of the time, brought me up and down the stairs. He's just been an amazing support for me and the boys, through all of it. So I don't know what I would do without him, What happened to me, the doctors came out and they told him what had happened. He knew exactly, so he had studied all of that, which really helped me in my recovery, So it was like he was sent to do that, and then he was sent to take care of me, and it was like it all just was lined up for us, So that's the way I looked at it.
Good.
Back in Cork, education student Christina is on her way to Sculwera, where she is coming to the end of her teaching placement.
This metaphor is trying to tell us they're comparing love to a battlefield. And in this instance, the battlefield is standing that it's unpredictable. You could either get hurt or you'd win, okay? I remember walking into the school, I had my blazer on, I was all smart looking and just standing there and taking it all in. But it just felt like I didn't belong. Like in the back of my head it was running, you're a traveller. Why are you walking into a school like a teacher? You don't belong here. And that kept playing over and over in my head as I walked the halls. I was waiting for someone to come up and tap me on the shoulder and be like, excuse me, you're in the wrong place. I rang my mum when I got out and I was in the car and I just started crying. I was like, I don't think I can do it. I was more expecting her to say, oh, if you don't want to do it, don't do it, Christina, drop out. But instead she said, it's your first day. This is what you've worked for. And you're going to stick at it. You'll give it a week, or you'll give it 2 weeks, and then we'll see where we'll go after that.
During the course of the interview, she told us that she was of the travelling community and how she'd, I suppose, assisted them in aspects which were related to the travelling community.
It's to be mostly what I've done.
She hesitated about, I suppose, telling other people about it, but I felt that it was just an extra dimension to her, a good life experience, good experience for her to bring to a school. There are schools which would be delighted to have her among the staff.
I don't know where I will stand next September because I don't want to disobey my parents completely. And I know people will think, you're 22, you can disobey them, but in the travelling community, there is a high level of respect. And I respect my parents completely, and I would not go against them. But there is this thing that jobs might come up in Dublin where I will get to do what I absolutely love, which is teach kids. But there is this thing that the only time I get to leave my home is when I go out married. It is really hard because it's like, here you go, here's your degree, we're so proud of you, but wait 1 minute, there's a catch, you can't teach.
Next week on My Uni Life, we meet Sean Fogarty, who has overcome life-threatening injuries to take his place in University of Limerick, and Courtney McGrath, who is in the middle of her business and sociology degree at Trinity College Dublin. Maynooth University's Alpha Ike tells us about his personal journey from Nigeria to Cavan, and we meet Roisin Farragher, who is finishing her doctorate in child research at NUI Galway.